Hey, hi everyone, this is Shubham, and today we'll talk about G scalar stuffs. So, in the G scalar, we have different modules. Basically, we have three modules, and we'll talk about one of them today. So, like three modules are GIA, GPA, and ZDX. Okay, so GIA is something we use for internet access control, and GPA we use for internet applications like Zscaler private access applications. Okay, for internal applications, and there is ZDX which we use for monitoring purpose and troubleshooting purpose. Okay, so let's talk about GIA. So GIA is basically used to control internet related traffic. It's work kind of like your next gen firewalls. Like we can configure the policy like that. Okay, so we have IPS control here, we have firewall control, we have SL inspection things, we have cloud application control here, and we have many more things here. Okay, so let's talk about that. So this is the GIA console. So once you will log in into the GIA console, you will see this dashboard. Under dashboard, you can see the what is going on in your organization, in your tenant. Okay, you can select the time range from here, like 5 days if you want. You can do that. Also, you can create more wizard if you want. Okay, from here you can create wizard for whatever you want. You want firewall control. You can give the name. Suppose I am giving the test here, then what kind of data you are looking for, you can say that like rule name. Okay, then how you want, like session you want, like session, like you want it like session transaction sample bytes. It's up to you. Then you can define like what kind of chart type you want. Then here there are multiple filter, like if you want action, if you want to see for block one, you can define for block one. So this is kind of things you can do that. Then there are more filter. What should be the rule name? You can select the rule name here. Suppose this is like, I'm just taking giving the examples. You can do that. There are many more filter. We'll talk each and everything. Okay, you can type, select the location, department, user, everything. So yeah, I'm not configuring this for now, but yeah, you can do that. Let's talk about analytics. So analytics is something which we use for monitoring purpose, for troubleshooting purpose. If in case suppose we got any ticket from the any user, like they are having some blockage towards any URL, so we can check their log under the analytics, under the web insights. Okay, so in analytics we have different options. Like we can check the cyber security inside. Suppose if something is being blocked by the IP, like some cyber security, either you can say that ATP and all. Okay, advanced threat protection you can see under here. Then we have sandbox activity report. Suppose if there is some malicious things in your environment and being quarantined, and then you can look into that. Majorly we focus, either we use every day these things: web insights logs, firewall logs. Sometimes we use threat inside and DNS things, but major of the time we under the web inside and firewall insights. Okay, so web inside is basically used for browser based access. Okay, like if you are using news.com, google.com, facebook.com, so if something is being blocked, you can check under the web insights log. If in case you are doing some FTP, either SSH things, and that is being blocked, you can check under the firewall control. Okay, and like port based services, you can check under the firewall control. Okay, and sometime like if you are doing something from the browser and that is using IP, so you can check under the firewall control inside as well. Okay, so this is analytics part. We'll talk about this in details later. Once we'll do some configuration and we'll start troubleshooting, then we'll talk about it. Coming to the policy part, so in the policy we can create different kind of policies. Coming to the web security, so we can create malware protection policy, advanced threat protection policy, sandbox, secure browsing. Okay, and in the access control things, we can configure URL and cloud app control, file type control, And suppose if in case we want to block news.com, suppose for example either news category, so we can block under the URL and cloud and app control. Suppose we want to block file type control, for example we want x.exe shouldn't be like downloaded, so we can block here under the file type control. Bandwidth control, we can define a specific bandwidth for that particular user. Okay, for SSL inspection, it's a very interesting topic in Zscaler. So if you wanna see, if you don't want to like uh, SSL inspection, like very important things. It's inspect whether it's HTTP or it's HTTPS traffic. It's inspect both. Okay. So if you don't want to inspect any traffic, like suppose you can say that like office.com, you can bypass that. Sometime what happened because of SSL inspection, lot of traffic being dropped. Okay. So you can configure as per requirement. Yeah, we'll talk about on this later as well. Then we have DLP configuration here. You can configure DLP part. Okay. And data loss prevention. Then we have say security part. You can do that. This is the mobile control where we configure GCC profile, like uh, Zscaler client connector profile. It's a Zscaler client connector portal. We call as a mobile portal as well. So here we do have multiple options where we do configuration. Like we can configure app profiles, forwarding profiles, and then we can configure the upgrade things. Okay, there are many things which we configured there, so we'll talk about on this as well once we'll into this part. Now we have firewall control here. We have we can control, like we can configure forwarding controls. We have firewall control, DNS control, FTP control, IPS cloud. So these are things which we have under the policy part. Let's come into the administration. So we have my profile, company profile. Under the company profile, you will be able to see that your company ID. This is required when you're opening, like basically like whenever you will open the ticket with the Zscaler support team, you have to enter your company ID so that they can get to know that this is the tenant which is being used for this particular user or the requester. Okay, so company ID is, you can say that, identification number for that particular tenant. And then under the, like we have we print all the policy, like if you want to print whatever policies are configured in your infrastructure, you can print all the policies, you will get the PDF files. Then this is the NSS, the analog streaming services, which we configure to send the logs to the SIM servers. Then we have advanced setting, and we have multiple things here. Then it's a virtual gens configuration. We'll talk about on this. This is also very interesting, is very interesting part. And then we have DLP incident receiver. We can configure like incidents, what kind of incident we should receive. Okay. Then partner integration is here. Then SaaS application tenants, we can configure authentication settings. We can like configure IDPs here, support third party IDPs like Okta and all, where like you can say that SSO, single sign in and all. So you can do that from here. We have three options like hosted DB, Active Directory, either LDAP. Then we have SAML. You can configure SAML here. Then once you will click on SAML, then you can configure identity providers. Okay, then here you can define identity provider, and here you can configure, like if you want to add any IDP, you can configure here. Just go here and then next, and you will get things. You have to enter the name, then status enable, then attributes you have to configure. These are the cases case sensitive. Just we'll talk about it later. We'll do configuration on it as well. Then we have user management. You can create, suppose if you are not using any IDP, if you like you don't have any IDP, okay, and you wanna still use the GCC, like GIS, then you can create user here. You can create the group, you can create the department without having any kind of IDP. Okay. Then we have administrator management. Suppose if you wanna give access to for this admin portal, either GIA console, you can create here. You can role management here. You can give super admin, read only options. Okay, you can configure that. These are the option. You can give that view only. This should be reporting successful. Either you can give the view. Either you want to see no. This is the things where you can configure. Okay, you can give the access like what should they see, what should they not able to see. Then we have audit log basically we use to see the configuration changes, what configuration changes made on the policy. Sometimes like we miss something, so we can see here. Okay, the event log is there, then backup and restore option there. Then we have URL categories. Here we can get user defined URL categories. Like we have, these are the predefined URL categories by the Zscaler. But if you want to block something, suppose if you want to block any kind of things, either if you want instead of blocking whole category, if suppose you want to block something under the music like spotify.com for example, so you don't need to block this music and audio streaming. You can just create a simple URL category and add that URL there, and you can just block that. Okay, so we'll do that as well. And we have bandwidth classes, we can define that. And this part we have. Then we have network services, we can create network services. Suppose uh, like we need to create any service like 443, like TCP 443, UDP 443, either some like port like for DNS things like 53. Okay, some other like for SS22, and also you can create your network services based on your requirement. Sometimes we got some other port like 3478 and all. Okay, 3389 for RDP, and also you can do that. You can just go and create there. Okay, and here interesting thing is you have to define like whether it should be source port or destination port. So we'll talk about on this as well. This is the source port option. But yeah, if in case someone is saying that allow access for 443, then make sure that you are creating a destination port. Okay, so just make sure that. Then we have IP and FQDN groups. Suppose if you want to create IP and FQDN groups, you can create here. Like we create in the firewalls, you can create here as well. Then we have application services options here. Then let's talk about little bit this part. So this is basically we use this is the back file. We'll talk about on this as well. Then if suppose if you want to create any IP sectorals in Zscaler, then you have to do the configuration here, VPN credentials. Here you will get like your far end, either your partner IP address and their preset key. So you have to enter here, then you have to create location management, and first you have to create a static IP here, their IP address, add a static IP. You can give their IP address, description. Suppose I am giving 1.1.1, 1.1.1, then description like this. Then once you will give here, then you have to select, click on the next. This IP is already associated. You have to give some IPs like 10.1.1.100. Let's see whether it's. Then you have to select the reason. Automatic, if you'll see the automatic, if that is public IP. So if you will click on the automatic, it will take that. But it's a manual, so I can click and then either you can enter that. Okay. If once then you have to click next, just select any enter city latitude. You can just define that. So then we have subcloud options. Subcloud is very interesting part. We'll talk about on this as well. It's basically being used. Suppose if you're near a DC's Mumbai and if something happened bad with Mumbai locations, then your traffic should forward it to the Delhi location, either another nearest data center. So this is being used for that one. Then we have activation part. So if you're making any changes in the Zscaler in the GIA portal, then you have to do the activate. Without activation, that will not work. Okay. So this is all about for today, and in the upcoming video we'll talk each and everything one by one. you everyone. Please like and subscribe my videos, my channels. Thank you.